What's going on, everyone? I'm doing a little response video to a YouTuber named Agent Sleepy, who I watch on here. He's such a down to earth guy. I highly appreciate him doing these discussion vlogs and whatnot because it really does mean a lot and it helps me out in the long run too. I know it does him as well. But this is a response video to: do we play too many video games, or do we not play enough video games? Also, I'm reading this on my screen, so I'm not going to be really looking at the camera, but that's okay. So, I'll be honest, I don't know how to explain this in the correct way. If I do, I apologize. If I don't, I apologize. But I didn't play a lot in this, well, last year in 2023. I do too much for this year, but never in the extreme as it was in 2023, and these are the reasons why. When I was growing up, my parents bought me my first Xbox in 2004. When I was around 5 years old, and it's because they knew I would have a blast doing so, playing it, which they were right. So my love for video games came from them, and I still have the Xbox. It's over there. Well, over there, I mean, in fall of 2022, I was just getting back into playing video games more and more after I found a teal Game Boy Color and 6 games in the carrying case that were inside a trash pile outside of my neighborhood when I was on my morning walk. Um, the handheld and games both work. I then rediscovered a retro video game store about 10-ish minutes away from my house a few weeks later, and after finding the Game Boy Color. In January 2023, all the way until the last day of last year, I did 69 pickups and carried it at the time around, I don't know, more than 100 games. Um, to add to the collection, which was at 790 something on the last day of 2023, and now it's at 820. In the physical collection. And I remember struggling with stress and such because I went into the store. I wouldn't have as much fun as I used to when I was just getting back into it, and it would always cause me a great deal of stress again, and it just messed with my head. Not messed with my head, but it made me kind of depressed and stuff because I wasn't having as much fun as when I first got into it. Again, like I said before, um, I was buying too many games in one visit. Like, I would leave with like 6, 7 games, and they would just sit. That's one of my shelves. They would just sit there, and I haven't even played a majority of them yet because it got so bad last year. I was just buying, and it got to a point where my grandpa had to intervene with me doing that, and him saying, you don't need to buy as many games in one visit. At least do 2, 3, or 4 games. At least do 3. He emphasized at least 3 because that's how bad it got. I would worry about getting variants in games I wouldn't touch for a while, and so on. I hate saying hyperfixate because it makes me sound like I'm addicted. I was addicted to buying stuff, I will admit that. But I would hyperfixate on going to a game store and not doing my college work, and for my search for network administration on the side. And when I say it got bad to the point where I was like, what's the word? I went about 3, 4 months not doing my schoolwork. And just to emphasize this on that topic, this is all a self-paced class, so there's not really a class per se. It's all self-paced. I can go as slow or fast as I want. I can take breaks. But I went 3 or 4 months without doing my schoolwork, and it upset my grandpa and my grandma because they're the ones that are helping me pay for those classes. And it definitely wasn't the healthiest of any decision I've ever made. And I hate to say it also, but I borrowed money 2 or 3 times from my grandpa. I think it was my grandpa. The go towards games, which I really feel bad about, but I paid him back, thankfully. But when 2024 started, I made a vow to him and myself and my family to not do as many pickups this year and so on, to not where I wear myself out from gaming and lose passion for the hobby, because I love gaming. It's part of my life, but not to the extent where I would be hyper fixated on it like last year. That wasn't really healthy of me to do. But to answer the question, do I game too much? I'd say yes, and also due to the fact that when I picked up all those games last year, I want to play them and ended up with a huge backlog. Like, it's insane. But as of last month, I started going through my backlog to beat the games I bought last year that I never touched, and it feels amazing, and I feel great about it. Like right now, I'm replaying the Tomb Raider trilogy. So, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition I beat last month. Rise of the Tomb Raider I beat this month. And then right now I'm working on Shadow of the Tomb Raider. An excellent series, and I highly recommend them. And it feels great being able to go back and play these games that I never played fully or at all. And I highly recommend that. I don't want any... what's the word? I don't want people to become addicted like I did. In a sense to where they blow all their money. Like, if you have money to spend, yeah, go for it. But not to the point where where you're in debt to someone, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's my rant.